Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Footy GameDay Squad show. I'm your host Cal, and joining me today I've got both my boys back for the first time in weeks. I've got Tom and I've got Kerm. Fellas, it's so good to see your faces. How are you both?
It's family time. We're all back together. It feels so warm. It feels so good to be a threesome again. It just feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look, mate, I took the words out of my mouth. I don't know about the threesome, but it's feeling very cozy here. And I can't wait to rip in. What a round of footy we just had.
Yes, exactly. What a round of footy. And I'm extra cozy today because I've got my port jumper on because as tradition, we wear our colours when our team wins. But Kerm, unfortunately, you are not in the Suns colours and I can't wait to talk to you about it.
No.
We've refrained from talking about it elsewhere because we wanted to save it for the show. Yeah, can't wait to get into that one. But we're here because of GameDay Squad, which has just had its second round of competitions. If you are new to the channel, we are GameDay Squad and we're Australia's first and currently only fantasy sport platform built using blockchain technology. So we've just had our second round of competitions, but we still have something exciting coming up because this weekend coming is going to be our first round of our seasonal comp. So we had a couple of standalone competitions, we had some prizes, and we'll talk about that very soon because we had a great start for all of us. But there is still time for you to jump in, get your free starter packs and start playing. So yeah, make sure you do go check that out. But we're here for our review show and we're going to talk everything that just happened. And guys, let's start with our own fantasy teams. Who wants to kick that off?
I'll kick us off here. And I had a really good round. So I was in the open competition. I had a round 2 score of 2,468 points, which I finished second with. And I had a few good performances. So one of your boys, Carl Amon, which I got a diamond card of, he has been absolutely ripping it up these last 2 weeks, and he's really stamping his ground out there for Port Adelaide. A big reason you guys won on the weekend, and he is a free agent. We spoke about it in a blog a couple of weeks ago, so interesting to see what happens there, but he is definitely one of the keys to my cogs in my team. But some other big performances from Stephen Connillio, who scored 172 base points. I've got him in a platinum card as well. And Mr. Reliable down back, Sam Doherty, absolutely tore it up again. So between the three of those guys, it was good enough to get me to second, and I'll look to go one further in the next round.
Yeah, nice. Were you far off the top there? You came second. Was there much of a gap to you and one?
Yeah. So first, absolutely ripping team. I think it was about 300 odd points ahead of me. So absolute daylight, daylight from the Flemington Straight, really, from first to second there. So, yeah, a bit to catch up on, but hopefully these prizes we'll talk about soon will get me there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. I'll jump in, Tom, because I was right behind Kerm. I was in third on the Open League, so I thought I had a great week.
Beauty.
I think I definitely have overperformed. I know we've got myself and Kerm second and third, but I tell you what, I'm not going to be there going forward. All my boys, I thought, had an outstanding game. I didn't miss much, as we'll get into our right and wrong, so I couldn't be happier. But bronze medal for me, but I was still a little bit behind you, Kerm, but just held off fourth place. So yeah, I'm stoked with that.
Yeah.
You do it. You take it differently though, Tom. You play in the capped competition. Tell us how you went with that.
Yeah, I sure did. And as you guys know, it was my first week of competition. So I was super excited, but a bit nervous at the same time because, as you know, I have a lot of restrictions when it comes to building my team. And I can't just go and throw all the best players in that I do have. I need to consider what grading they are, how much it's going to hit into my salary cap. So it was a bit of trial and error, but worked pretty bloody well this week. We ended up finishing second overall in the cap league with 2,134 total points. But I'll tell you what, we did a good job. We came 7th in the Open League as well. So not only representing in the Cap League, I had enough points to get me a top 10 finish in the Open League. And for anyone who doesn't understand and is listening on at home, because I'm under the salary cap, I do qualify for the Capped League. But I also can compete in the Open League because, if anything, I'm limited and I'm restricted. So if I can beat the people who don't have any restrictions, then I deserve to get the rewards in their league as well. And that is exactly what happened this week. Looking at some standouts, we spoke about a Callum in the preview show, but Jordan Dawson down back was going to be one of my best players for the round, and he definitely delivered doing that. Looking at the midfield, we had a really good effort all around. Keys, Connillio, And even Simpkin stepping up and not doing too bad for me. So pretty happy there. Luke Jackson, the ruckman we spoke about, what a dominant game. He finished with a lot of points. And then Mitch Duncan, Aaron Norton, Papley up front. Wasn't too impressive. I feel like the forward pack is probably the weakness with my club at the moment. But the midfield and back line is just really well balanced. And did enough to get us in second. Only missed out by first by 6 fantasy points. So
that's hard.
Shout out to
Relton's Rockets.
Yeah, the Relton's Rockets. They've been doing a good job over the past couple of weeks, but keep an eye out, mate. I am right on your tail. I'm coming for you. So I'll be seeing you very soon.
Yeah, well, everyone's seeing you soon at the moment because, like you said, you're on both leaderboards for both comps. What does that mean, though? It means you get double prizes. So the prize structure for the Open and Cap League is exactly the same. So that means that Tom is going to eat some Open packs today. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to all of us. We'll all get some packs. I'm stoked with that. But, yeah, I imagine next week when it gets serious, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. But let's talk about footy for a second. And that's because we're going to dive into all the fantasy stuff, studs and duds. But I want to talk about what was everyone's footy moment of the round. Who wants to kick that one off?
I'll start us off again here. And it's not a good moment that we want to be talking about much. But it definitely is fantasy relevant. And that's Tom Stewart, who was ugly hit on Dion Prestia, absolutely ran straight through him, and he doesn't even have a chance. He's going straight through to tribunal, which is absolutely fair. The hit was... we saw him distressed in the huddle going into quarter time, I think it was, and Chris Scott had to console him a little bit because Tom Stewart knew what he had done. And Tom Stewart's not a dirty player, I don't think, but it looked really bad on camera. It was...
not good.
I think the worst act, maybe outside the Lance Franklin. Yeah, it was really bad. So he's going to definitely miss some time for the pointing end of the season going in for fantasy coaches, and that's a really big hit because he's a lot of linchpins for a lot of coaches out there.
Yeah, you're too right. You reckon he gets 4 weeks? Or you reckon he gets 3?
Yeah, I think minimum 4.
Yeah.
I think minimum 4. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit ugly. I hope Presti is all right because he's going to miss next week with concussion as well. Tom, what'd you have as your moment?
Yeah, mate, I'll be honest with you. Watching the round of footy, there was not one moment that I identified as the moment of the round. I gave it to the whole round for the AFL. Round 15 was bloody awesome. There were so many great games throughout. So many close ones. You mentioned your game between Port and the Suns. Only 2 points of difference. There were so many games that you just had you on the edge of your seat. So, yeah, what a round. So many good teams playing against each other. But, yeah, gave it to the whole round. But what about you, mate? What moment did you pick?
Yeah, so I could have, and I wanted to go the Port game. There were so many moments in that because I wanted to. Like I said, I was holding off on the Kerm one. But, no, just quickly, Kerm, I'm really devastated that the Suns lost. Don't get me wrong, stoked Port won. But... yeah, just you guys, 2 years ago, we win that by 50, 60 points after the start. Suns have come a long way, but yeah, you're still going to feel pretty shit if you don't make finals. And yeah, it's made it very, very tough for yourself, even though you've got an easy run home. But
that's the thing, perspective, like this season... it's like going into this season, you weren't excited as a Suns fan, but these last few rounds, maybe the last 2 months or so, you're actually going into games excited to actually watch the Suns, which is something a Suns fan hasn't been able to say for
ever.
Maybe exactly, our debut season. So it's been good, but yeah, for it to the Snicko, not a fan of the Snicko anymore. That hurt us a few times.
I'll tell you what, controversial last couple seconds there. I think a Port player dove straight at the ankles of some of the Suns in the goal square, and
there's a lot of speculation. And I can sit here and be a salty Suns fan, but
Umpy 80s whistle, man.
Yeah. They did throw their whistles away, and that's something I loved about this round. I did notice them throw their whistles away, which was great the whole round. You saw a few things where you're like, oh, that could probably be a free, but I'd much rather just the footy we got because it was awesome. But my actual moment is a fantasy moment, and you said it before, Tom. Luke Jackson's goal. That boy is Maxi gone out. The question is, can he stand up and actually carry a team in the ruck? The answer is yes, and he's going to earn himself a bag. that goal, ruck tap to himself, steps one, snaps. Like, that's Max Gawn-esque, and yeah, he's going to be a fantasy stud for a long, long time. Kerm, I know you had Sean Darcy as your dynasty ruck for the next 10 years. You had him in the preseason. I want to know, is he atop of your power rankings right now for the next 10 years, or has Luke Jackson pipped him?
I think Luke Jackson's pipped him. And that's not me hopping off of Sean Darcy Island. I need to stress that. I think Sean Darcy's going to be great for a long, long time. But the Tim Englishes, the Luke Jacksons, who are the ruckmen, who are athletic and can impact all over the ground, kick goals, intercept mark. And, I mean, Luke Jackson's been valued at over $1 million now. And the Demons have a big decision to make, because I don't think he can give up on Max Gawn. I think he still is the best ruckman in the league by some way. But are you going to cash in on Luke Jackson and trade him to someone who's willing to pay that? That's a really big decision, and that's going to have fantasy implications down the line, because we are a dynasty league, and if he's going to be playing elsewhere in a fantasy-friendly environment, it's going to spell some good points.
Tell me this, Kerm. You said that Max Gawn is the best ruckman by far, but does Luke Jackson's performance sort of say the opposite, and that maybe Max Gawn is just in a really good system and
a ruck-friendly role? Yeah, maybe.
Is benefiting off really good play from the midfield, because Luke Jackson, first couple of weeks as a starter, and he looks like he's at home already.
I can see where you could find that theory, but I just think the way that they both... I just think they've hit the jackpot for me.
Yeah.
Like, the Demons have just absolutely smashed it with their ruck selections. Because the way they impact the game, both either winning it off their own boot or doing the one percenters with the contested marking, the tackling, all the one percenters that a general ruckman can't do, because Sean Darcy, as great as he is not a Luke Jackson as athletic as he might be. So, yeah, he turns like the Queen Mary a little bit. But, yeah, for me, Luke Jackson has pipped him in dynasty standings going forward, unfortunately.
Alright guys, we're going to move on to the fantasy stuff, but I just want to make sure that we give Jack Henry a shout out for that mark and that game winner for Geelong the other night, because I guess we all try and pick points that we don't think the other guys will pick, but if we walked away saying the moment of the round wasn't that, then yeah, that's crazy, because that was an unreal game winner, massive game there. But
unbelievable.
Perfect little segue into studs of the round. And Tom, we've changed up our format, and you're the one that's going to tell us who the few studs, or I think you've got a handful there, who are the best players for the round. So kick it off. Studs of the round for round 15. Who we got?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And my first one is going to be Jake Lloyd from the Sydney Swans. What a game from him off the back line. He's just a ball magnet. And after starting the season red hot and falling into a bit of a slump in terms of his production, Lloyd's gone on a tear against the Saints, who could not keep up with the Swans throughout this contest. He finished with a whopping 165 GameDay Squad fantasy points. My second stud of the round goes to Hugh Mccluggage, who has been having a stellar season so far, and this was just no exception. He's finding ways to fill up the stat sheet every single week, and GameDay Squad fantasy owners will have no complaints about his season so far. He finished with 154 GameDay Squad fantasy points. That leads me to my third stud of the round. It is Rowan Marshall. And in a season where the ruckman position for fantasy has been unpredictable and somewhat confusing, Rowan Marshall has been a shining light for the Saints. He produced a monster outing against the Swans. Unfortunately, the Saints did lose to my beloved Swans. So let's go. That's a shout of ours quickly.
Paddy Ryder was out. Yeah, because the Paddy Ryder was out, wasn't he? He missed the game. And it just sort of shows, I know with them two in there, they're quite dominant. But when Paddy Ryder's down, Marshall eats. That could be
Marshall can do a job on his own.
Correlation.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and he finished with 149 GameDay Squad fantasy points. So huge outing from him, stepping up there. Yep. And my last stud for the round is Stephen Connillio, and he's playing some of his best footy of his career. And by his standards, that's some pretty elite company. Since the Giants' mid-season shenanigans, their stars have found a second gear, and Connillio has been a part of this. He finished with 154 fantasy points in this one. And that wraps up my studs of the round. And I'll throw it over to you, Callum, for the duds.
Yeah, before we get into that, I was going to say, how many studs did you have in your team from Tom Studs, Kerm? I had Cluggage. That was the only one I had. Did you have a few more?
I had the one, Connillio.
Tom, how many of them did you have?
Just Connillio as well. Just one.
Just Connillio.
Yep.
Just the one.
I'd love a Mccluggage card.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to him shortly. because we had something go out on our Instagram page last week about it. I'm going to circle back. I believe I've got the duds of the round, and I've got 4 as well. First one, Timmy Taranto. First game since round 9 that he'd gone under 100 points. He'd been on a bit of a roll, but he just had a shocker. 72% time on ground, only got the 9 kicks, no goals and a tackle, 65 GDS points. For a top 6 forward player, we want him to be doing better than that. He was due a shocker, but we definitely have to call it out when he was there. Someone else who was in great form, Jared Lyons. Since he's gone 11 of his last 12 games over 100, he only got 48. Now, for him, it was a bit stiff because he copped a knee in the second quarter. That pretty much meant he was sort of restricted the whole game. He ended up getting
I don't know how he came back on.
Yeah, how he came back on. So shout out to him for that. But at the end of the day, he only got a 48, and that does hurt because we've only got 5 spots in the midfield. And if you did go with him there with 48 GDS points, that would have hurt you. So that's a dud that probably didn't deserve it. Jack Crisp, another, who's been having some great form of late, but the Pies didn't need him to get that win against the Giants. 12 kicks and a quiet 81 points. So he can do better. He will do better. But insane that he hasn't dropped the 100 since round 3. That's a crazy consistency. I'm spewing my words here. And my final one, guys, for you is Tom Stewart. You mentioned him before, Kerm. Not for what he did in the game. He was actually quite good, but I just needed to give him a dud for that. And the headache you said that he's going to cause, he's now going to be out for the next 4 weeks. I reckon if you were to say you get access to all players in GameDay Squad, who are the 5-6 players that you would just lock in? I reckon he'd be in that group because you just
he's
know
your D1. Yeah.
He's your D1. You lock him, you set and forget, and it's disappointing that you got your 130, but now you have to find someone else in your team for the next month. So, yeah, they're my 4 duds of the round. How many of them did you guys have in your team? By the sounds of it, not many because we all had a good week.
Yeah, mate, fortunately for me, I had a big 0. Didn't have any of those players, so thank goodness.
Same, none of those, which is a blessing, massive blessing.
Yeah, great. None from me as well. So that's good there. Kerm, you're going to roll us into something different. You want to tell us a bit about what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to take us into Rookie Watch, where I'm going to identify some rookies from round 15 who might have done some particularly good stuff out there on the field and rewarded their coaches for a little bit of loyalty. And I'll kick us off with everyone's favourite fantasy rookie going into this season, and that's Nick Martin. Tom's guy. Tom claimed him very, very early, and to his credit, he's done such a consistent job.
That's my boy.
But he finished with 104 GDS fantasy points and kicked 2 goals. He's really been impacting the game for Essendon, which has been an absolute disgraceful year for them. But their one shining light is Nick Martin.
Yeah.
My next guy is Tristan Cherry, the North Melbourne ruckman. He had 21 hitouts, sharing the load with Goldstein still, but he had 105 GDS fantasy points. He's another one who can get around the ground well, like Luke Jackson and Tim English, not to their extent. But Tristan Cherry does like to go forward and work around the ground. But 21 hitouts is a good sign for some CBAs going forward. We might see Goldstein go play that permanent forward role that we're starting to see. And Jai Newcomb. Yeah, Cherry's been good. Jai Newcomb's my third one. He had 93 fantasy points on the day. That's what you're going to get from Jai Newcomb. He's a really consistent rookie. He's one of the most consistent rookies in fantasy this year. And you can start to expect that going forward. I think he's going to be a really, really good asset for fantasy years to come.
Yeah, I love that last one. Can I claim Jai Newcomb as mine? If Tom gets Nick Martin, I want Jai Newcomb for the next 10 years. I love watching him play.
Yeah.
Because even when he's
you
not
can have
massive,
the way
he gets around the ground, he just is so good to watch. I've just paid to go watch him. He's awesome.
He is. He's a
It's
star.
fair enough, but I just want to point out I had my boy in my best 18 in week 1. Week 1.
You did, yeah.
So,
that
You did. You caught him early, yeah.
you can claim that for a long time, I think.
Yeah, you can. You can't lock. You can't lock on the round in the preview show. You can't get that right, but you can pick your rookies. Maybe that's your specialty, hey?
There we go. Maybe it is.
Alrighty, so coming out of the break, we're going to go into one of our favourite segments, Right and Wrong. And we've changed this into a fantasy-specific segment, so we're going to be talking about our own teams here. And who would like to take us away first?
Yeah, mate. After my first week of competition, I would love to start off. I haven't been in this segment before, so welcome me here. But what I got right, as you can see the picture there, pull up the slide. I big brained it this week, and what I got right is my team's strategy heading into the round 2 of competition. I had some huge decisions to make whether I should play some of my platinum or diamond players in the lineup, but essentially didn't end up doing it because I thought a well-rounded team was going to be better than a team with a couple of studs and then a lot of duds. So, yeah, bit of a pat on the back there for myself for the strategy. It's worked very well. And yeah, it paid huge dividends throughout the week. I love this segment now. It's now become my favourite, as Kerm said. But let's get into what I got wrong. As I mentioned, I had to make a couple of big decisions in benching some players, and one of those players was a platinum Mitch Lewis, and he was unreal on the weekend. He had a really good game. He finished with 4 goals, 2 behinds, 117 GameDay Squad fantasy points before his multiplier. So yeah, as I mentioned before, my forward pack is the weakest out of my entire team at the moment. So trying to find a way to get Lewis into my starting 6 there could be a game changer for me moving forward. But I'm going to have to do some sitting down. I have to open up the books because our cap space is very tight right now.
Yeah, that's a headache. That's a good headache to have though. Yeah. Whether you can bring in a platinum Lewis into your team.
Yeah.
But, no. Big brain. I'll let you call yourself that for 1 week, but we'll see if you can back it up again. Kev, tell me how you went. What'd you get right? What'd you get wrong?
Something I got right, and I've been clowning this guy pretty much all season, but I've got a diamond steel side bottom, and I was super reluctant to start him. But he just went and just about had his best game of the season. So I did end up starting him because of his rarity. If he was any lower than a diamond, I don't think he would make it anywhere near my team. But he was in there, and he had a really, really big day. And as you're saying, Tom, the forward lines are a little bit scarce for talent. And to find that in steel side bottom in round 15 was an absolute gem. So I got that one right. But something I got wrong was leaving Sam Walsh on my bench.
Oh, that stings.
He only went and had a 40 disposal day. I know. I left. It was a toss-up between a gold Andrew Brayshaw and my platinum Sam Walsh. So going into the round and the matchups, I leant towards Brayshaw, who went on only got about 100 GDS fantasy points. And yeah, the discrepancy in points was about 60 odd. So it did really sting in the end. And Sam Walsh will be finding his way into my midfield.
That's a bloody tough 16. Call to make, though, between those two players. I feel for you. That is rough.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a headache, a day-long headache. Not a lot of work was done Thursday with those decisions. So, yeah, no, but it did hurt. Did come back to bite me in the backside.
Oh, yeah, that hurts. But that is a great segue, completely unplanned, because, Kerm, what you should have done instead of sit on that problem yourself is do what I did. I went to our Footy GameDay Squad Twitter account, which, if you don't know, we have multiple Instagram accounts. What am I saying here? We have multiple Instagram accounts. We've got our main account, and we've also created a second one for the footy, and we've got a third one for the league. And on our footy page, I asked everyone, because I had a headache myself, and this is what I got right. I said, do I go the gold Hugh Mccluggage, or do I go the silver track? And the community spoke. They said, you've got to go with your gold Huey. And thank you very much. He got me 155 points, and he was an absolute star. Track didn't have a terrible game, but with the multiplier as well, I think I gained myself about 50 points there. So that was what I got right, and also what our community got right. So thank you for that. I wanted to say, if anyone has any questions like that, or you're unsure to pick between, put them up, send them through. We're more than happy to put them up on an Instagram story and let the people know. Get our community involved and give you some answers as well. Discord's also a great place for that. What I got wrong, though, is I backed my fastly fading Brownlow hope and lock from the start of the year of Paddy Cripps over Coniglio when I had a gold one of him sitting there. So he never even crossed my mind to play in my midfield. It's the one place I have a bit of depth, but not even giving him a thought really hurt, because, as we know, he top scored with 172 points before I would have got an extra 1.2 on the multiplier. So that hurts, and that's what I got wrong this week.
Yeah, mate, that sucks. That's a tough again. Couple of tough decisions that we have to make as fantasy managers, but that is all in the love of the game. So,
Can't be too hard, right? We all made the leaderboards, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say we've done pretty well for ourselves.
Exactly right. But planning this show out, I've gone and done my buy, sell, and hold, and then found out later that we are changing things up and mixing it up on the show. So we'll get into what the changes are in a bit.
We want to open packs.
I want to go through my buy, sell, and hold
Backs.
because I've got some stuff ready for the viewers out here.
You've done
and
the
my
work.
buy,
You've done the work. Put it in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My buy this week is a player that we've mentioned. It's Luke Jackson. Now, this isn't a long-term buy. We all understand that Max Gawn will be back and that his role with the Demons is then going to be limited due to his return. But if you need a ruckman over the next 3 to 2 weeks and you are struggling at that position, then look no further than Luke Jackson because this guy is filling it up right now. He got one of the moments of the round for Callum. He was one of the best players on the ground for the Demons over the weekend. It's just a no-brainer for me. And if you're looking at dynasty value as well in the future, then it might be worth investing if you want to hang on. But if not, at least use him for a couple of weeks if you're running short at the moment with players because he is killing it.
And just quickly, I wrote about him in the latest AFL Risers and Fallers blog that was published last night, so go check that out. And Hugh Mccluggage got a write-up as well. So some people we're talking about tonight are in that blog, and yeah, just further cements our points.
Yeah, we love that. And that link will be down below in the description. So if you want to read that blog, go check it out. But let me get in to my sell player. And the rise of Charlie Curnow has evidently been the fall of last year's Coleman medalist, Harry Mackay. We are just not seeing the same fantasy production out of Mackay this year, and this is largely due to how good Curnow has been inside the forward 50 for the Blues. And due to these factors and many more, I'm starting to fall off the Mackay train, and I don't see myself jumping ship anytime soon. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I am. It's no deal from me.
Yeah, key forwards are tough, and if you're not going to produce with goals, it's hard for any key forward to score well in fantasy and GDS scoring. So Harry Mackay, if he's playing second fiddle to Curnow going forward, it's going to be tough to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Couldn't agree with you more. Let's get into hold. My player to hold this week is Tommy Lynch. And after a huge test for Richmond against the Geelong Cats over the weekend, they fell short by just 3 points. But Lynch bagged 3 goals throughout this contest. And here at GameDay Squad, prior to the round starting, we have wondered how Tom Lynch will perform throughout not only this contest, but against some of the better teams in the league. Because he does seem to have his biggest games against some of the lower end teams. And when it comes to the big dogs, the top 8s, he can go missing. But in this one, he stepped up when needed. I'm eager to see if this good form will impact the remainder of the fantasy season and how he's going to continue to respond as the season goes on.
All right, so with the return of our captain, Cal, returning to the call as he fell off in the last segment there, he's back. He's back for the pack opening. The man loves a pack opening. I've got this one. Yeah, I've got this one, a common 3-player pack. I'm just going to get straight in and open it. Let's have a look.
Now, for anyone that watched the pack opening that we did on the channel, you'll understand that depending on the animation you get, it gives you an indication of the grade of card that you are going to get from the pack. So not quite the animation we were looking for there, but it is a 3x3 common.
Come on, someone good. Let's just get a name. Let's get a good name. We've got...
Here it is.
A gold, a silver, and another gold. Okay, we'll start with the silver. Lockie Scholl from Adelaide. That's not a good start. That. You like him?
No, I like him for a prospect card, not for a win now.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Considering you could have pulled someone awful, he's not the worst one you could pull. I like him, but maybe for a couple of years.
He's got his dynasty cap on there for sure. It's definitely not win now.
Mate, I do. Have a look at this.
Hey.
I love that hat. I love it. Let's open the middle one, the gold here. Oh my God.
All right.
Oh, we love this guy. We love this guy.
What are we going to finish it off with here?
Played some footy with Bozy, and it's good to see him back in the Suns side. And yeah, I really like that card. I might use that going forward. And the card on the left here, Archie Perkins. This is a really good dynasty pack.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It is.
1.2 Perkins, 1.1 Scholl, and a 1.2 Bose, who's about to carve out a good role for himself again in the Sun side. I'll take that. There's a common 3. I'll take that.
That's pretty good. That is very good.
The question
Not as good as the
stands. Buy, sell, and hold. Yeah.
Just quickly, I was going to say, not as good as the one we just had in our Discord. If you're excited to go see what just dropped in that jump over there. But sorry, Tom, I cut you off. You were saying buy, sell, and hold.
Yeah. Well,
how are we attacking this one?
Kerm, I think you should start us off, seeing as your guy here is in there. Where are you going to go? What direction here?
I'm going to buy Bosey because I think he's got the clearest path to a fantasy relevant role. And then I'm going to... I'll sell Scholl. Maybe. And then I'll hold Perkins. What about you guys?
Definitely buying Bosey.
Yeah.
I'd probably hold Perkins and sell Scholl. However, if the Scholl was gold, it would be...
Yeah.
Make things very difficult.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Because he's a silver, he tilts it that way.
And honestly, I'm going to agree with you two there. And it's definitely the gold difference there. Like, quite similar players, quite comparable in terms if you want to look at the impact they're going to have in the production. But that gold grading edge is the difference here. And unfortunately, Scholl is getting cut from my squad as well. Bye, Bose. Hold on to Perkins.
Rough. Poor Lockie. I still love him. Even for getting rid of him. We still love everyone that's been following along with this and for another great preview show. So thank you very, very much, guys. We really appreciate your ongoing support of our channel. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you do give it a like if you enjoy what we're doing. Tom, Kerm, anything else you want the guys to be doing?
Get game day ready for round 16.
Get game day ready, and we'll see you for the preview.
Bang.